You have made it to the end of your work week, and now it's time for your Alabama football fix. And what better way to do that than to be locked and loaded onto the hottest show on the streets, the best form of Crimson Tide football news, notes, and information you're going to find anywhere. This right here in My Own Words, the podcast with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, coming to you from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And as we do each and every week, we encourage you to drop a thumbs up, a like on the show, and subscribe, because that lets us know here at TDA, got to continue pumping you the best in news, notes, and information on your favorite football program, that being the Alabama Crimson Tide. And it's because of you, the passionate Alabama fan, we're over 8,000 subscribers strong. That's right, over 8,000 subscribers strong on YouTube. Definitely want to encourage you to continue to grow, build the network, brand, and the channel. We got a great segment of shows prepared for you today. We will look at we'll go into Pete Golding. We'll go into Mac Jones first and foremost. We'll talk Mac Jones and the quarterback race for the Crimson Tide. Then we'll dive into a little bit of Pete Golding. Will he stay at Alabama? Will he leave Alabama? Will Alabama make another or go in another direction in terms of defensive coordinator? And we'll also get into one Freddie Roach, Nick Saban, Alabama, bringing him back on the defensive line. But we start things off here with some updates, and one in particular, the Tennessee Volunteers. Philip Fulmer, athletic director for the Vols. Philip Fulmer made a statement after Wednesday signing day that, of course, he believes that the volunteer program is back to where it needs to be at. He also said some other things, which we cannot get into on this show, but the gist of it, he claims the Tennessee football program is back. And I give him this. He signed a good class. He signed a top 10 class, and a class that has 23 commits, including a bunch of 4-stars, the bulk of it's 4-stars, and one in particular being Harrison Bailey, a high 4-star pro-style quarterback. Now, some sites have him as a 4-star, others have him as a 5-star, but it's a good class. Taking nothing away from Philip Fulmer, it's a good class, it's a strong class. We know the type of coach that Jeremy Pruitt is. He's a relationships guy. He's going to get the best out of the talent. But the question is, even with the talent that Tennessee has brought in here, can it maneuver with the schedule? You can bring in all the talent you want to, but the idea is, can you mold it? Can you develop it? Can you get it to play winning football, a term that Nick Saban likes to use? And can you get the team to win? Can you get the group of talent to win at the highest level? And when you look at Tennessee's schedule, of course, on September 2nd, September 12th, it's got Oklahoma on the schedule. It's got Florida on the schedule on September 26th. Of course, you got to face Alabama third Saturday in October 24th. And even though the game will be in Knoxville, still a matchup where Nick Saban and this group of players will go up to Neyland Stadium and look to handle business. So you got Alabama, you got Georgia on November 14th, Missouri, South Carolina, Vanderbilt. So while Philip Fulmer, Jeremy Pruitt, Tennessee, good signing class, top 10 class, I'm not ready to say just yet that Tennessee football is back. We'll see how they do. We'll see how they manage and maneuver the schedule. Also, ladies and gentlemen, the National Football League has announced its participants for the NFL Scouting Combine, which will be the week of February 23rd through March the 2nd from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. In terms of your Crimson Tide, Alabama sending 10 players to the Combine, tied for third most among schools. It's tied with Georgia, who also is sending 10. The 10 guys representing the Crimson Tide just so happen to be Tua Tagovailoa, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs III, Jedrick Wills, Raekwon Davis, Anthony Jennings, Terrell Lewis, Xavier McKinney, Shaheem Carter, and one Trayvon Diggs. So people, set your TVs, set your DVRs, get those ready. NFL Network will be airing the Combine, which is the week of February 23rd through March the 2nd. But Alabama head coach Nick Saban got a chance to speak on Wednesday, being signing day, inside the Malmore facility about this class he has brought in for 2020. Of its 25 commits, 9 of them hail from the state of Alabama. Of its 25 commits, 6 of those were 5 stars, including a quarterback in Bryce Young from the state of California. Touched on Alabama Magazine, we got a chance to cover, this event. So check out what Nick Saban had to say. Give a listen to what the head coach of the University of Alabama football program had to say on how proud he is of this signing class for 2020.
But I know today you all talk a lot about, rankings and ratings and who did what in recruiting, and I think the key thing for us is, we felt like we got a lot of good players, character, quality people who want to get an education, who are good football players. And I think if you look at the average rating of the guys that we got, it's pretty high, regardless of where they rank us. But I think that the focus for young players coming in a program is not on where they're ranked and how they're rated as high school players, but what do they have to do to develop to be quality football players when they get to college.
That was Alabama head coach Nick Saban on Wednesday talking about the 2020 recruiting class, and a great one that has come in here. And it brings us to the conversation of Alabama redshirt junior quarterback, as he's a rising redshirt junior, Mac Jones. Everybody's excited about Bryce Young, and for obvious reasons, the newness, the talent, the ability, the capability, and what he brings to the table as not just a guy that's athletic, but a guy that can also throw the football. But my main thing is, I would like to know kind of what's causing people to not buy all in, right? What's causing people to not go all in on Mac Jones? I'm not saying people hate Mac Jones. People don't hate him. He hasn't given any reason to hate him. He hasn't done anything in terms of the program for people to hate him. He's handled things the right way. He's waited his time. He's been patient. He's been productive. But it's just, there is something that is hindering a lot of the Alabama fan base from really sort of going all in and sort of trusting Mac Jones. For a lot of people, it's what the Tide had in Tua Tagovailoa. I feel like Bama Nation was so spoiled by what Tua was able to provide after having a game-managing quarterback in Greg McElroy, game-managing quarterback in A.J. McCarron, game-managing quarterback in Jacob Coker, while Blake Sims gave you something different. Jalen Hurts, gave you something different. Tua Tagovailoa gave you somebody of whom did not just manage the game, but had the ability to take the game over. He had the prowess, if you will, to be able to take the game over with his athleticism, with his accuracy, his precision, his anticipation on his throws, the way he was able to direct receivers in space with the football, have it in their hands with timing, with accuracy, with just the feathery touch on the football. So his skill set, it spoiled fans because you were able to see 40 and 50 and sometimes 60-point games get put up on the scoreboard, and people were not used to that. People weren't used to that. So with having a guy in Mac Jones, people feel like, is Alabama taking a step back? What it had with Tua, is Alabama taking a step back with Mac Jones? Will we be able to score the ball at will with Mac Jones under center as opposed to when you had Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback? And for me, I always go back to this point right here. When your main quarterback gets hurt in a game and the coaching staff has no type of confidence whatsoever in the backup, you see it, right? And this is how you see it. The play calling changes, The style changes. It becomes more vanilla. It becomes more conservative. You're not taking a lot of deep shots downfield. You're not taking the out routes, the post patterns. You kind of have a condensed playbook. The playbook does not become open to the offensive coordinator directing the plays because you don't want the backup quarterback putting your team in danger, putting your team in jeopardy, turning the football over, and making bad decisions. So when you don't trust the backup quarterback, you see how the playbook shifts, the playbook changes, as opposed to what happened this past year with Mac Jones. And I get it. He went out there against Tennessee. He was a little bit nervous, as we all would be. I mean, you just saw Tua Tagovailoa go down with an ankle injury. And there's no pep talk for Mac Jones. There's no, okay, Mac, Tua just went down. Let's rehearse this. Let's go over this. You're going to run this play, that play. There was no rehearsal. There was no pep talk. It was Mac. Tua went down. Get your butt out there. Drop the water. Tell the towel boy to quit tripping. Get out there on the field, Mac. Do your thing. Run the offense. So Mac has to go out there a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious, a little bit gun shy, but he did some positive things in that game. And then from that game, he goes up against Arkansas as a starter, got all the reps, had a strong performance. He goes up against the Auburn Tigers, getting all the reps, had a season high 335 passing yards. Yes, he had the 2 pick sixes, but he was able to shrug both of those off, have 4 big-time touchdowns in the game. Folks, Mac Jones put up 45 points in this offense. When you put up 45 points, you're supposed to win the game. When you put up 45 points, it's a given. You win that football game. It was the issues on defense that Alabama did not win that football game, not Mac Jones. And then against Michigan, I mean, my God, he shut up khaki pants and made Jim Harbaugh cry. He shut up khaki pants in Michigan by going out there completing 16 for 25 passes for 327 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Alabama 35-16 win. I'm going to tell you this about Mac Jones. I have seen 300-pound men cry at the feet of Nick Saban. I have seen 300-pound men at 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" cry at the feet of Nick Saban due to how this man has their NFL careers in the palm of his hands. Not too many folks go round for round with Nick Saban. But Mac Jones, in a practice as he was running scout team, sat there and told Nick Saban to his face, Coach Nick, if you want me to stop throwing the deep ball with Tyrell Shavers, tell your defense to check me. Tell your defense to come at me. Tell them to stop me. And everybody looked around and was like, whoa, who in the world was that? They got the balls to come at Nick Saban? Who's got the moxie, the nerve to come at Nick Saban? And when they found out it was Mac 10, I mean, they were like, whoa, look at this. Even Nick Saban had to do a double take. Even Nick Saban had to back off. Even Nick Saban was proud of it. When you got the nerve to tell Nick Saban when to start and get off, you doing something. Mac Jones ain't backing down from nobody. This man ain't backing down from nobody. But we'll continue this in your phone calls on the other side of the break. Right now on In My Own Words, we'll be back.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Make sure to subscribe before it's too late and get our new freshly printed end of the year magazine issue. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We're back inside the action here on In My Own Words, the podcast on a Friday, hottest show on the streets. Touchdown Alabama Magazine, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith. And Had to put my 2 cents in there, man, about Mac Jones before the break. I'm telling you, this young man does not back down from anybody. If Bryce Young wants to take this job, he's going to have to come and just grip it out of Mac Jones's hands because this is somebody that's big time. But we got a caller now in queue right here on the show. You're live on In My Own Words with yours truly, Stephen M. Smith. What's on your mind tonight? I am fantastic, man. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, man? So I just wanted to know, like, if you could explain in 2 or 3 words what your how you felt when you heard Jamil Burroughs was coming to Bama.
In 3 words, I felt this is awesome. Well, I felt this is awesome. I mean,
Man, that was my exact thought.
This is a guy that has a lot of potential. This is somebody that is mean. He is nasty. He has quick hands, very good footwork, and getting after the running back, and also can rush the passer. Nick Saban has always been one to get more defensive tackles, to rush from the inside, kind of like what he had with A'Shawn Robinson, Deron Payne, and here recently, Quinnen Williams. So landing a guy like a Jamil Burroughs, big time, big time. Can't wait to see what he does when he gets on the field.
Agreed. Big time recruit. So I had another
Go
question.
ahead.
I saw on Twitter that Tua's brother Talga Tagovailoa is entering the transfer portal, and I was wondering what are some destinations you thought he could end up at, like Miami, since Tua's probably going to end up with the Dolphins or something like that.
Well, his name has not been put into the transfer portal yet. There are some rumors going around right now, but the rumors kind of got some legs to them. This spring will be the fight of Taulia's life, just due to with Bryce Young coming in here and the energy and the attention he has attracted. The conversation has become Mac Jones or Bryce Young. So Taulia has kind of become the wild card or the odd man out. If he can come out here and perform and sort of fend off Bryce Young, it will be interesting. If not, then there comes your thought and your question right there. Where would he go to? And it would depend on who would draft Tua. If the Miami Dolphins would draft Tua, you could see Taulia, the family, take Taulia down to Florida, whichever collegiate school has a opening at quarterback, or if it's the LA Chargers that take Tua, we could see Leah back on the West Coast. So right now, the biggest thing for Leah is he's got to fight. It's not going to be handed to him. You've got Mac Jones with the experience. You got Bryce Young commanding the attention and the capability that he brings. It's going to be an all-on fight for Leah. And the question is, how bad does the brother want it?
Definitely. So I had a little hot take. So I feel like our toughest competitor in the West this year isn't going to be LSU or Auburn, but I think it's going to be Mike Leach and the Mississippi State Bulldogs. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it will be interesting, man, to see what Mike Leach does. But, man, we appreciate you calling in, man. Keep listening.
Thank you, man. Have a great day.
We got another caller in the queue, firing up on a Friday. You're live on In My Own Words, the podcast with your man, Stephen Smith. What's going on? You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on? Whereas that caller will try to get themselves back into the queue line here. The number to call to make yourself or be a part of the conversation, which is In My Own Words, 205-448-1358. Once again, 205-448-1358. The number to call in to be a part of the hottest show in the streets. Along with that, though, if Twitter is your thing, you can tweet the show at In My Own Words TDA. Once again, that's at In My Own Words TDA. But if you feel like tweeting me directly, and I would be happy that you did that, you can reach me on Twitter at Coaching M. Smith. Once again, that's at Coaching M. Smith. We also have a chat line here on YouTube. You can definitely send your thoughts, questions, and concerns in the chat line. But we actually got some comments coming in from the chat line right now. What we got, JP? Well, okay, so this is Willie. This is Willie coming in here. The national championship. Alabama won a championship with Greg McElroy. I wouldn't say Greg was subpar. Now, he does not have the talent that a Bryce Young has, or that a Tua Tagovailoa or Jalen Hurts, none of those guys. But, Greg, smart guy, intelligent guy. At times, as an analyst, I wonder why he tries so hard to be unbiased. But as a quarterback, I thought Greg was pretty good. Won a championship. Jerome Benson, I get that. I get that. Tua was special. Tua was a generational talent. People throw that word around loosely, but he was elite. He was a generational talent. I'm just saying that from start to finish, from the start of the season to the end of the season, Greg McElroy won a title, and all those, Greg McElroy won a title, A.J. McCarron won a title, Jacob Coker won a title from start to finish. With Tua Tagovailoa, he came off the bench, and he did a great job coming off the bench to rescue the tie, but then there's that. But we're going back to the call-in queue where we pick up another caller. You are live on In My Own Words, the podcast with yours truly. What's on your mind?
Stephen, this is Waylon Coleman.
You're live on the show, Colin. What's going on?
Night? What's going on, man? How you doing tonight, Stephen?
I cannot complain here, man. Having a good day. But most importantly, what's going on with you?
I just thought I'd give you a little bump here tonight, and I was a little down this week from losing McKinley Jackson there and the other boy to Missouri, but I know we're talking about the quarterback race, and I've heard the little rumor mill of Tua's little brother may be in the transfer portal, but I think Mac will have the job. I don't think Bryce will be able to come in and just take it away from Mac. I think Mac will do a good job, and with the offensive line we're going to have, we could go back to the old Alabama teams of past, north and south, and run it down your throat and beat us if you can. You know what I'm saying?
I get you right there, Wayne, and I agree with that. But my man, appreciate you calling in. Keep listening, buddy.
I'm going to keep my ears open, man. Always good to hear from you, and have a good weekend, and we'll catch you again maybe Monday night.
Let's do it.
Let's do it, baby. Talk to you later. Be good.
Continuing with the call-in queue, we got one coming in from Richmond, Virginia. You're live on In My Own Words with your man, Stephen M. Smith. What's going on?
What's going on, Stephen M? This your boy Jerome Benson. You just commented on one of my posts not too long ago. I'm very happy. I'm from Birmingham now I'm in Richmond, but I wanted to give my comment on this QB race thing. Even we talk about QBs of the past and everything like that, and which is fine and fantastic. And I don't think we're gonna see a talent like Tua for maybe at least 2 years. Okay, but for the ones that won them, like Jake Coker and A.J. McCarron and Greg McElroy, they were fantastic, but we have never seen them like Tua before. And I think Mac Jones can get the job done because we have won championships with quarterbacks like him. And I think Mac Jones is better than what Jake Coker was.
I'll say this, man, and I've mentioned this before. A lot of times when the starting quarterback goes down, everything changes. Nobody has enough confidence in that backup. And when Tua went down, and I saw where Sarkisian didn't change the playbook. He didn't switch up. He basically told Mac Jones, I got the same confidence in you that I have in Tua. And the players have the same confidence in you that they have in Tua. And Mac Jones went out there and did that. It's not just them saying they're behind Mac Jones. This team is 100% behind him.
Right, and I agree with you 100%. I'm down with Mac 10 doing the thing. It's his job to lose. He just can't lose it, and I don't think he will.
It'll be interesting to see what happens.
because he already knows the playbook. He knows the system. He knows what he needs to do. I mean, he even showed a little toughness when that guy came to sack him from Michigan and landed all on his neck and everything. He got right back up and bounced right back and still hit him with it. So I like it. I like Mac and Ken.
Well, we'll see what happens in spring ball, my man. But, hey, appreciate the call. Keep listening. Got another call. We are on fire tonight. You're live on In My Own Words. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Stephen. I was listening to the Mac Jones talk, and I know it's a hot topic, and especially with all the quarterbacks that we have on the roster, and especially with Bryce Young coming in. But I'm kind of agreeing with you and some of the other Alabama fans, the ones that I've talked to, especially, and I honestly just really feel that Mac Jones is more than capable of being being the starter. I look at him and I just think of guys like, McElroy and Jake Coker and AJ and some of the other guys that just, they weren't like elite like Tua and on a lesser level like Jalen. But Mac, I just think that he's more than capable. I really like, how he played against, when he came into Mississippi State and the Michigan game, and even Auburn. Those the 2 pick sixes or whatever. I just think that he can really do if he has a full off season as the starter and getting the reps, and then going into the season and fall camp as the starter and getting the starter reps. I really believe that he's going to come out on fire against USC in that first game. Am I wrong about that? What do you think?
I'll say this. At times, I am scared to even look at Nick Saban the wrong way. So the fact that Mac Jones, as a scout team quarterback a few years back, was able to stare Nick Saban dead in his face and say, Nick, if you want me to stop throwing deep balls, come check me, come at me, and was able to give it back to Nick Saban, I have full confidence that Mac Jones can go out here and get this done because he's got that moxie. But I appreciate you for calling in, man, and continue listening to the show. We got a call coming in here from Augusta, Georgia. You're on In My Own Words with Stephen Smith. What's on your mind?
Hey, I just wanted to flip the script a little bit, talking a little bit about recruiting.
Okay.
So, the signing day just came around. This had to be one of the more poor performances by Nick Saban. What do you think about that?
Say it one more time.
I think it was all around like poor performance by Nick Saban. One of the worst signing days of his career, in my opinion.
I don't think so. I don't think so. A lot of people look at the hype. I got the number one class. I got all the 5 stars, and that's great. But the purpose of recruiting is hitting your needs. If you know you are weak at linebacker, get a linebacker. If you know you're weak at corner, get a corner. If you know you're thin at certain spots, get those spots. And I actually feel like he did a great job because for the first time in a while, Nick went back to getting the in-state kids. Folks were wondering, Saban, why are you leaving all the in-state kids? I know you want a national presence, but these guys in Alabama, they mean something. So get back to getting the in-state talent along with fulfilling the needs that you knew you had, especially on defense. I look at this class. This is one of Nick Saban's better jobs. Yes, it's not all of the bells and whistles, but you handled needs. You built a fence around the home state. And, most importantly, you got the guys that want to be here, and they act like they want to be here. But I appreciate the call, man. Got some callers already fired up on the queue. But we're going to take a break here on In My Own Words. When we get back, we will dive into Pete Golding. My man Pete Golding. What will Alabama do? Will they decide to keep him? Will they decide to part ways? What is on the menu when you talk Pete Golding? We'll discuss it right after this.
If you want want delicious home-style cooking, sushi, and hibachi, check out Otoro Hibachi in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. At home and you can't get away from the TV because the Crimson Tide is about to score? Don't worry, delivery is also available through Waitr and Crimson2go. That's Otoro Hibachi in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And make sure you let them know the good folks at Touchdown Alabama sent you. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Make sure to subscribe before it's too late and get our new freshly printed end of the year magazine issue. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We're back in from the break on a Friday, still pimp walking down the street on the hottest show, in my own words, the podcast. Yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And as I'm looking at the maestro, JP, we have gotten down to everybody's favorite subject. Everybody's favorite coach on Alabama's roster. No, I'm not talking Nick Saban. I'm talking Pete Golding. Pete Golding, Alabama's favorite coach. What will Alabama decide to do with one Pete Golding? And I've mentioned this before. If you take a poll of the Alabama fan base, I mean, it's right down the middle. Half the folks saying, no, we don't want him. Half the folks saying, give him another shot. He had 1 year where a bunch of folks weren't healthy. Had a bunch of folks that were not prepared to play. You had to play a bunch of freshmen before time. And it's a difficult situation for anybody to handle. Pete Golding had to handle that. But the more I talk to Alabama fans, this is what I'm starting to kind of get a gist of. It's whether Pete Golding is at Alabama or whether he's not at Alabama. The idea for Tide fans is, as long as he is not calling the plays defensively, I'm good. Whether he is here and just at a different positional group, not calling a defense, or even if he's not at Alabama, just get the defensive coordinator playbook away from him, and I will stomach that. So that's the whole gist there of Alabama fans when you talk one Pete Golding. Now, something that I have heard in the rumor mill, of course, I was awakened of my sleep in the morning of about 8 a.m. and had to wipe the eye crispies out of my eyes and get a pen and paper to take down the information that people that I trust and are very much so well connected and well respected within the program have told me is, when you look at Pete Golding, he could potentially be one of 2 to 3 coaches that could be shuffled around on the staff or headed out in terms of the staff. We'll see what happens, but that's, of course, some of the things that I have been told. Among the names that could be on the rise in terms of defensive coordinators would be one, and he was here recently, Derek Ansley. There we go. Derek Ansley, who's right now at Tennessee with Jeremy Pruitt. He was at Alabama once before, and from 2016 to 2017 as a defensive backs coach. Did a tremendous job in getting the secondary to play like the no-fly zone we saw it become that season. So the likes of Derek Ansley could be potentially at Alabama a defensive coordinator. Should the Crimson Tide make that move, it would be transitioning Pete Golding out if Alabama does not land him at that spot. You would look at the potential of having Golding go to defensive backs coach and a co-DC thing being worked out between either Freddie Roach or Sal Sunseri, or even Sal Sunseri and Carl Scott. So that's what I've been mentioned to, or that's what I have been told by trusted, credible people within the program. But just getting back to Pete Golding, I'm for one that I believe he has value. Everybody in life has value. Now, is his value as his value at defensive coordinator? That is still up for debate. To me, There are people in life that were meant to be head coaches. They come out of the womb meant to be head coaches. They know how to micromanage. They know how to put things together. They know how to oversee everything. They know how to kind of be the CEO of the whole ordeal. So some people come out of the womb just born to be head coaches. You have some people that come out of the womb just born to be coordinators. They don't know how to micromanage. They can't oversee everything, but they know how to plan. They know how to scheme. They know how to strategize at their respective positions, whether offense or defense. So you have some folks that were meant to be coordinators. And then there were people that were just meant to be position coaches. They may not be the best of schemers. They may not be able to micromanage, but they have those one-to-one interpersonal communications with their respective position group, and they know how to get the maximum effort from their respective position group. So I could see Pete Golding in that third tier, in that third line of work, being a position coach. He does have experience in working with defensive backs. He did it at Southern Miss. He did it at University of Texas, San Antonio. He did it at Southeastern Louisiana. He did it at Delta State. So he's got experience working with strictly defensive backs. So I feel like if Alabama was to go the route of keeping Pete Golding and kind of shifting him to be the defensive backs coach, I could see that working. I can see that panning out pretty well just due to the patience that he has with young players. We saw a season ago that even though it was rough at times, him working with Christian Harris and Shane Lee, we saw the growth of Christian Harris. I mean, week by week, he did not let the same thing trip him up. Each week, Christian Harris got better, whether it was blowing up a play in the backfield or whether it was forcing a fumble or reading his keys or shooting the gap. Each week, you saw something different from Christian Harris that made you go, okay. If he can continue to improve, once he latches on to this entire system, that young man is going to be the real deal. And even when you look at Shane Lee, though there are times when I feel like he overthinks things, he oversteps things, he kind of psychs himself out. Even at times with Shane Lee, you saw in certain spats that he can be successful. He can be pretty good. And Nick Saban mentioned throughout the 2019 season about how at times when he did not have the patience to work with a lot of these young guys, Pete Golding had the patience. So if there was a situation where you could get somebody different to come in here, like a Derek Ansley, to run the defense, you could shift Pete Golding to defensive back. You could shift Pete Golding out of the program. If you could not get Derek Ansley, then you could shift Pete Golding to the safeties coach position with the defensive backs, and it could go there from that aspect. So I feel like Pete Golding has value, but in the next couple of days, as we start to see some shifting here with the coaching staff, we'll be able to check out for ourselves how this thing will unfold and lock in together. But for me, I feel like Pete has value, and I would like to see Alabama give him a second shot at being the defensive coordinator due to everybody deserves that 1 year to experiment, to find out what they actually have, to mess some things up just to see what can you improve upon in the next year. And with him coming into a situation where you didn't have Dylan Moses. If Alabama would have had Dylan Moses in 2019, that would have made a huge difference. It didn't have Joshua McMillan. If Alabama would have had Joshua McMillan, it would have made a huge difference. It didn't have LeBron Ray 3 games into the season. If it would have had LeBron Ray, it could have made a big difference. And then as the season went on, you did not have DJ Dale also because he gets hurt as well. So that's 4 main guys. And it doesn't matter if you have the best defensive coordinator in college football. When you have injuries like that and you are forced to play young players, you are forced to play freshmen, you are forced to play babies out of necessity, the last time they've seen big-time footballs in the high school ranks, and then boom, you throw them out there in major Division I college football, SEC, mano-a-mano, big-time football, dog-eat-dog town, where everything goes down. and you're putting them out there before it's their time to actually play and develop, you're going to have some problems. And Pete Golding, have to deal with that. But for the most part, you still come out of that whole scenario, that whole deal, being in the top 20 in total defense at number 20, being in the top 15 in scoring defense at number 13, just outside the top 10. So for what it's worth, it was not as terrible. It was not as bad as what a lot of people make it out to be. But once again, my enjoyment for Alabama football started in the 1990s, myself coming up in this thing. And I understand that Alabama fans crave perfection. When you grew up with Wallace Wade having a strong defense and Frank Thomas having a strong defense and Paul Bear Bryant, the legend himself, went through the 60s and the 70s with having the Junction Boys and just defenses that made you want to cry and, not want to play Alabama. And then you have, Gene Stallings that had the defense in 92 when you look at Copeland and Curry and Antonio Langham and George Teague and guys that believed in getting after the quarterback, guys that believed in creating turnovers, guys that believed in if our offense just puts 3 to 10 points on the board, we the defense, we take care of the rest. And then in the earlier parts of Nick Saban, in 2009, 11, 12, 15, and 17, when you had the giant wall of you know what I mean, with guys like Ashawn Robinson, Jaron Reed teeing off, and Terrence Cody teeing off, and Courtney Upshaw, Donta Hightower, Tim Williams, Ryan Anderson, Deron Payne, Quentin Williams, the list goes on. I can go on forever. When you become so used to hanging your hat on the defensive side of the football and knowing beyond a shot of a doubt, I got defense. There are days my offense could go to crap. There are days the special teams could go to crap, but I know I got defense. And as long as I got defense, I'm going to be all right. And Alabama fans, you guys have felt like that for the longest of time, with the exception of the last 2 years. So even though with Pete Golding and all the chaos that happened, it wasn't as bad as what people make it out to be. But when it's not at the Alabama standard, whether it's the coaching staff standard, the player standard, and to you, the Alabama Crimson Tide standard, when it doesn't meet that standard of you being a Tide fan, then, of course, something has to be done. The blame is pointed somewhere, and the blame for the last 2 years, and especially this past season, was directed toward Pete Golding. So we'll see what happens. Does Alabama keep him? Does Alabama go in a different direction? Does it pull a Derek Ansley? Does it not pull a Derek Ansley? Does it go in sliding Pete Golding, the defensive back? In the coming days, we shall see what happens. But we'll take another break here on the show. When we get back, we go to more of your phone calls after this.
Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month, or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Make sure to subscribe before it's too late and get our new freshly printed end of the year magazine issue. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
And from the break on In My Own Words, the podcast, a little tongue-tied there. But this is your time, callers. 205-448-1358. The number again, 205-448-1358. And let your voice be heard on the best form of Crimson Tide football news, notes, and information. As always, if Twitter is your thing, you can tweet the show at In My Own Words TDA. Once again, that's at In My Own Words TDA. If you want to tweet me directly, that's fine. I'm at Coaching M. Smith on Twitter, at Coaching M. Smith. We also have a great chat line here on YouTube where you can leave your thoughts, questions, and concerns. But we're going to actually go to the chat line right now. We pick up Chris Solo. Chris Solo writes in, who will bring the pass rush this year? That's a good question, Chris. Who will bring the pass rush this year? Right now, Christian Barmore will bring the pass rush. Brian Ray being back healthy, he'll bring the pass rush. I look at a guy like Christopher Allen, of whom Sal Sunseri has spent much time with, an outside linebacker. He'll bring some pass rush. But I look at also a guy like King Wakuda, can bring some pass rush, an outside linebacker. Also, look at some of these freshmen coming in. In particular, look at Will Anderson, the 5-star from Hampton, Georgia. I think that guy, I know people are saying he brings flashes of Derek Thomas. Don't you say that. Don't you say that. I am not ready to put that type of pressure on Will Anderson. When you say that somebody's the next Derek Thomas, you better mean it. Because if he's not the next DT, Tide fans will not believe you for the rest of your life. If you say somebody's the next Derek Thomas. When you say Derek Thomas, you revere that name. You put some respect. Birdman edition. You put some respect on that name because Derek Thomas, that guy's in a class of his own. We'll take some baby steps with Will Anderson, though. We'll say he's got potential to be the next, Ryan Anderson, the next maybe Tim Williams, the next Rashaan Evans. We'll take baby steps with Will Anderson. But Will Anderson, I think, can bring the pass rush as well. But that comes from Chris Solo. But we'll jump into the call-in queue right now. As we pick up our next caller, you are live on In My Own Words, the podcast with yours truly, Stephen Smith. What's on your mind?
How you doing, Stephen? This is my name is Frank. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. How you
doing? Good, Frank, and yourself?
I'm doing well, man. I'm a new Alabama fan. Picked up on the Crimson Tide, honestly, but I've met Pete Golding, and I kind of like that dude. I feel like you said, like once they buy into him and what he has to offer, I think the defense would be a lot different. Him going to the secondary could be a good thing also. So I want to know what you think about here and actually seeing what he got then, instead of getting rid of him now. How you feel about that?
I say this about Pete Golding. He's got a great relationship with the players. The players love him. Players really like Pete Golding. Nick Saban has done nothing but shower praise on him for his patience and what he's done. I feel like a full year with a healthy roster will really help him. Having Freddie Roach in here with the defensive line on defense also will really help Pete Golding. So I feel like let's hold the judgment until him having a full roster and then him having the other coaches in here that can continue helping him. Let's hold off the judgment until we see what he can do after learning from this past season and then him having a full roster.
Yes, sir. I feel the same way, man.
Appreciate you for calling in, man. Keep listening to the show.
Yes, I will.
We continue with the callers right now. We continue with the comments right now. Excuse me. We continue with the comments here. We go down to Frederick Turner. Frederick Turner says Alabama's defense will be just as hungry next year. Won't be a lot of butt chewing. Just watch. Well, Frederick Turner, I like this defense. I really do. I like the freshmen that are in this class. I like the guys returning to this class, to this team, to the roster. I like the coaches that are on this team and some that could be coming in the next few days or so. Some shifting going around on the coaching staff. So I like this defense. I feel like the guys are going to come in hungry. The guys are going to come in motivated. And Alabama is about to get back to having true competition at every spot on the field to where if you win on the defensive line, you're the best player on the defensive line. If you win at linebacker, you're the best at linebacker. If you win in the secondary, you are the best, but that competition is going to keep you on your toes because just because you may win, if you slip up, there's a freshman, there's a young gun, there's a young blood that's ready and willing to take your spot. So Alabama is getting back to having that elite competition at every single spot there on that defense. So definitely excited for the defense in the upcoming season. We're gonna continue with the conversation here, going back to Chris Songo, who's been active tonight. Chris Songo writes in, when you lose your quarterback on defense, you are going to struggle a bit. I agree. Dylan Moses was the quarterback of he was supposed to be the quarterback of a defense this past season. I remember I spoke to Dylan at SEC Media Days in July of 2019 in Hoover, and Dylan was really excited to run this group. When I spoke to him about Pete Golding, he told me Coach Golding is a perfectionist. Coach Golding is a stickler for details. He gets on to me. He makes sure that I'm doing things the right way. And Golding had this defense with Dylan Moses in mind. He really did. So when Dylan got hurt in preseason, Golding has to do damage control and go to a different alternative. He has to switch the whole plan around once Dylan got hurt. And then when McMillan got hurt on top of that, then you're really in the overdrive, switching the entire defense around and just going to different players in terms of the freshmen on the team. So I agree with that statement. When you lose the captain of your defense, it does bother you. But continuing here with the call-in queue here, not the call-in queue, but with the questions here. Going back to Frederick Turner, he writes in, Barmore and Moses will bring the rush. I like Barmore, I like Moses. We got Ed Willie 351 who writes in, Barmore gonna take somebody's head off next year. Like Barmore a whole lot. So this defense, I like this group. I feel like this team has the potential to be special. This team has the potential to understand what it means to have that Bama factor in line here. Also, more questions here. Jerome Benson writes in, Mulligan for Pete Golding, but he's on a thin leash, bruh. Mulligan for Pete Golding, but he's on a thin leash. Yeah. Mulligan for Pete Golding, he deserves a year to learn from what happened in 2019, get things done in the following season. My thought question is, if you choose to let go of Pete Golding, if you choose to do this, and let's say you don't land a Derek Ansley, who do you go after? Because right now, the talk on Charlie Strong's kind of died down. You had the guy at Auburn, Kevin Steele, sign an extension with the Auburn Tigers. Bob Shoop is out of the question. The guy that I always wanted from the get-go, Jimmy Lake, took the head coaching job at Washington with Chris Peterson stepping down. So if you were to part ways with Pete Golding, right, and if you couldn't get a Derek Ansley, and if you were not riding with the whole co-DC deal that Alabama could pull with a Sal Sunseri and a Freddie Roach, or a Sal Sunseri and a Carl Scott, who would you go out there and get? I mean, what name right now is on pure fire? Who could you go out there and get? So fans, definitely want you to leave your thoughts there in the chat line. If you couldn't get Ansley and you wanted Golding out of here and you did not like the co-DC ordeal Bama could go with, but who is a name that's hot right now that you really want to have involved inside with the Alabama football program? But we're going to go to another break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. When we get back, we touch on my man Freddie Roach, back with the Crimson Tide. We'll touch on Freddie and what he means to the program after this.
Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month, or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Make sure to subscribe before it's too late and get our new freshly printed end of the year magazine issue. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We're back in my own words, the podcast, folks. Having a great show on a Friday. Got some calls in, got some good comments there in the chat line. But we move on down to my man Freddie Roach is back. Freddie Roach back at the University of Alabama. Nick Saban And the Alabama Communications Department made it official this week. Freddie Roach back with the program at defensive line coach, and somebody of whom I have a lot of respect for. I grew up watching Freddie Roach play football at Alabama, was a linebacker, inside linebacker, middle linebacker for the Crimson Tide from 2001 to 05 out of Killen, Alabama. The guy was nothing to play with when he was here. 271 career tackles, was a SEC Defensive Player of the Year, was a freshman All-American, was an All-SEC selection, a guy that made the Alabama All-Decade team for the year 2000, well, in the 2000s era, a guy that was a part of that 2005 fierce defense that was in the top 10 in college football in all 5 major defensive categories. If you wanted a hard hit, if you wanted a sack, if you wanted a pick, you just go through Freddie Roach. Carl Roach, pick up the phone, baby. Carl Roach, Freddie Roach got that thing done. And he spent time with the Crimson Tide as a strength coach from 2008 to 2010, part of 2 national championships there. He was a director of player development from 2015 to 2016, got a national championship there. So he's played here. He was on head coach Nick Saban's staff. And even in his departure from the Crimson Tide, he spent time at East Mississippi Community College, won a national junior college title there, went to Murray State, had success, went to South Alabama, had success. But probably his biggest piece of success was with the Ole Miss Rebels from 2017 to 2019 on the defensive line. And he did this with not a lot of 4 and 5 stars, more so 2 and 3 stars. Now, Ole Miss would come up on a 4 and 5 star every now and again, but Roach did this with 2 and 3 stars. And in the 3-year period he was there, we're looking at 84 combined sacks for Ole Miss. 58.5 of the 84 came from defensive linemen. That is 70%. 70% with little talent came from defensive linemen. So can you imagine if Freddie's able to do that with 2 and 3 stars? He's about to inherit 4 and 5 stars galore. He's going to inherit an ungodly amount of talent on the defensive line. When you mention names, LeBron Ray has got to be licking his chops. He's getting to work with Freddie Roach. Christian Barmore is licking his chops right now. Byron Young, Ishmael Sopser, Justin Boygby, Braylon Ingram, Stephon Wynn, all the players that Alabama signed in the 2020 class. When you look at Timothy Smith, Jamarian Latham, Jamil Burrows, I mean, these kids are right now chomping at the bit, excited to get ready to work with Freddie Roach. He's a young guy. He can relate to a lot of these young men on their level, very savvy with social media, but he's also kind of got that old soul in a sense of he wants things done right. He loves attention to detail. He is very savvy in his technique and his teaching style. He shoots it straight, shoots it real, doesn't sugarcoat anything. He wants to get the utmost effort out of everybody on that team. And not just the players. Part of that Bama factor, people, is getting the coaches in here that identify with the Crimson Tide, that identify with Bama, that know and fully understand what this program means to Nick Saban, what this program means to these players, what the program means to you, the people in the community, the fans, the consumer of Tide football. The Bama factor is about getting back to making sure you're not letting those things down and you're playing to a standard that is elite, that is marquee, that is dynamic. And when opposing teams play you, you want to have them leave that stadium going, "Dear Jesus, Mother Mary, and Father Joseph, I do not want to play that team again." I do not want to look at the Alabama Crimson Tide again. So very happy to see Freddie Roach in here. A lot of players, current guys on the roster excited. The recruits that have been signed on are excited. What I'm looking forward to seeing, though, is along with Freddie Roach, at some point, can Alabama get DeMeco Ryans on the phone? I mean, can Alabama get DeMeco on the phone? I mean, I know The 49ers did not win the Super Bowl. Tears, I know. But can Alabama at some point get DeMeco Ryans on the phone and be like, DeMeco, look, bruh, we got your boy Freddie in here. We want to bring you in here too. We're trying to get as many former players to come back home and coach this defense in any type of capacity, whether it's on-field roles, GA roles, analyst roles, just any type of way. Your knowledge, DeMeco, is needed. Your knowledge, your attention to detail, your focus, your determination, your hard work, DeMeco Ryans, is needed. I would love for that to happen. For Nick Saban, pick up that phone and get DeMeco Ryans at the University of Alabama. Folks, that's going to take us to our final break here on the show. When we get back, we put a bow on this thing and wrap it up on this Friday edition of shows. We'll be right back.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to STSFootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to STSFootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Make sure to subscribe before it's too late and get our new freshly printed end of the year magazine issue. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We are tidying up loose ends, ladies and gentlemen, on a Friday. Hottest show on the streets, in my own words, the podcast. Yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, and we have had a great show today, but man, I'm happy to have Freddie Roach in here. Happy to have Freddie. Can't wait to see what he does. Excited about what he will bring to the table, the energy he brings, the coaching technique he will bring, and him being able to get this defensive line, because as much as Alabama fans, and myself included, as much as we talk about the linebackers need to be right and the secondary needs to be right, and that's true, Alabama's defense has always started with that defensive front, that defensive line, the big uglies up front. When you get those big guys to stuff the run and take up two blocks, or when you get those big guys to be able to knife their way into the backfield and create pressure on the quarterback, get in that quarterback's head, make him scared, make him afraid, and put the opposing offense, behind but down in distance consistently, then that is what makes the defense all the more enticing, all the more exciting. That is what makes it dynamic when you got the defensive line really doing its part in making life difficult for the opposing team. So if Freddie Roach can come in here and do just that, it is going to be awesome getting a chance to see him do that. We got a chance to look at Mac Jones. When you look at the quarterback conversation between Mac Jones, Bryce Young, and Taulia Tagovailoa, Paul Tyson, and I get it, people want to see Bryce Young. I want to see what Bryce Young can do myself. I want to see, can he come out here in spring ball? I've heard that he's actually put on some weight. He's right now between 190 and 195 pounds. So, woo! Scott Cochran, way to go, man. Scott Cochran already doing his job as the director of strength and conditioning, putting the weight on Bryce Young. But looking forward to seeing what he does. Can he go out there on the field? Can he win the team away from Mac Jones? Can he show that he can dissect everything in the playbook? Can he have that mentality of, if I make a bad throw, if I make a bad play, if things do not go my way, shrug it off, lay it aside, don't dwell on that, and continue to execute and play winning football? These are things that I will see as I go out on the field in March, probably in a shirt and tie and black pants in 100-degree heat. Y'all pray for me if I do this. I might pass out. Hopefully I don't pass out. But spring ball is going to be fun. But Mac Jones is somebody of whom, if somebody's going to take this job from him, they're going to have to pry it from him. This young man experienced, this young man talented, intelligent. He plays with a huge chip on his shoulder, and part of that reason, if you remember, in the 2017 A-Day game, ESPN, the self-proclaimed worldwide leader in sports, referred to Mac Jones as a walk-on. They referred to Mac Jones as a walk-on. Can't believe that happened, but the guy was on full scholarship, and he's ready to show once and for all to all the doubters he is that dude. And then we got a chance to touch in on Pete Golding. What will Alabama do with him from here? Where does it go to? Do you keep him? Do you let him go? If you let him go, who do you bring in? So had a great show today and got a chance to get to your phone calls and also your comments there in the chat line. As always, you download the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You be the smart fan. You invest in yourself. You be the envy of all your friends. How do you go about doing this? Well, it's simple. You go to the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, the Google Play Store if you just so happen to have the Android phone. Now, if you're a podcast person, and if your favorite audio listening pleasures just so happen to be iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio, we got you covered on all of those sites. If the good Lord sees fit, people, I will be back on Monday providing you the best news, notes, and information on your Crimson Tide. But until then, I leave you with these things. Wives, love your husbands. Husbands, kiss your wives. Children, I know it's the weekend, but get those chores done. Get you 3 hearty meals a day, 3 hearty laughs a day. Till next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith. Peace! You've been listening to In My Own Words.